This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, welcome to Josh Has Autism.
Hello.
Josh, I know that we are a day late.
Yeah?
Yep, so sorry everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's been crazy. You were just put on a new medicine. I'm just going to jump right in because I know that you have to go.
Yeah.
So, you were put on a new medicine, and your whole life we've kind of not really just wanted for you to be on medicine, but when it comes to time where it's necessary, we just kind of weigh the pros and the cons and what have you. And for the first time in your life, you were put on a medication just for your anxiety.
Yeah.
And
That specifically targets it not as a side effect, affects it, but is directly for that.
So right. So you've been on medications that affect, they're for depression, for ADD, for that kind of as a component in it to help with anxiety and like OCD or but this is the first time that it's specifically for anxiety.
Yeah.
And you were real resistant to take it.
Yeah.
And why is that?
I didn't really understand why I would need to take it. Mm-hmm. Like, what would change? Mm-hmm. And on top of that, whenever it was first prescribed to me, there was no schedule for it. It was take it as you need it, which doesn't help me.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to talk about that too. It wasn't really put to you, take it when you need it. It was put to you that, look, you can take this up to 3 times a day if you need it. And it doesn't have to be on a set schedule. So if you take a dose in the morning and a few hours later you're feeling a great deal of anxiety, you can take another one. You can take up to 3 a day, but that's the max. So if you want to get on a schedule, so you take it in the morning and midday and then at night, it's fine. If you want to just take it twice, it's fine. If all you want to do is take it once, is fine as well. But I do understand how that is too abstract for you.
Yeah. You
need that to be concrete and clear and precise so you know what to do.
Yeah.
So what happens when things like that are left up to your discretion?
Things like what?
Decisions that are not clear, don't come with clear-cut answers or regimens.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, what is it about that doesn't happen? I kind of put this in the category of clean your room.
Yeah,
they're open-ended options for you don't help.
Right.
You want definitive answers.
Right, or at least some sort of lead to help me narrow it down. But a lot of times that it's not enough. If something's given to me, it's not enough to narrow down to what I need to do, and so it just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. And it is interesting. So this doctor is a new doctor. So it's a new psychiatrist, and her role is specifically medication management. And it's hard to tell sometimes. And I look for credentials, but oftentimes you go with the ones that insurance will pay for.
Yeah.
And looking for the credentials, indicating that there's a history of working with people with autism or education in it, something. It's really hard, in my opinion, in my experience, to find that.
Yeah.
And so I don't think her specialty is medication management, but I don't think that she fully understands you at all because you're a new patient.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that she really quite understands that leaving it open-ended might help other patients. So, look, I have a lot of issues. Autism is not one of them. So if you tell me,
Secondhand.
if you sorry, if you tell me that I can take it as needed, I understand that, and that means that I pay attention. It's like my asthma inhaler. I take one very definitive twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
Another inhaler I lug around with me and I use it as needed.
Yeah.
There is no way that a doctor could say it's called a rescue inhaler.
Yeah.
That's not the name of it, but that's what it's used for.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that a doctor could tell me you're going to take this many times a day or this many times a week.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
So anyway, to me, I understand that. To you, it was a non-starter.
Right. And using that example,
Mm-hmm.
even with a rescue inhaler,
Mm-hmm.
there's a specific reason you need to use it, and it immediately shows that you need to use it. With me, with a new medication that is for something that I've never had directed at anxiety, I don't know when I'm going to need to use it. And it's not helpful at all to tell me, take it when you need it,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. It's not helpful at all.
Yeah. Yeah. That you didn't even know what to do with that information.
Right.
You didn't even know what to do with the medication, what to do with the information, how to do it, or how to even start before that. You didn't even know how to begin to know how to take it. With the rescue inhaler as an example, I know because I know if I can breathe or not.
Yeah, and with outside perspective, we can see that you need your rescue inhaler.
Sometimes. Now, sometimes it is a very... You might not be able to see it from the outside, but it's like very... Lungs are feeling very tight and not...
Yeah.
Just it doesn't feel breathing is not... Easy or comfortable.
Right.
But it's not a full-blown asthma attack yet.
Right.
But I will know that. And what I think the assumption that she made was that you have again, quotes, an anxiety disorder that is secondary to autism. And it comes with autism often.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the difference is nobody has addressed just the anxiety, but the thought is that you have begun to really get affected by the anxiety more and more, to a point that she's saying, well, look, these things that you're not able to accomplish right now, these things you're not able to follow through on right now, it sounds to her like it's anxiety related. Because it comes up real quick. It can be about a situation, an environment, a condition, that you've got to accomplish something in order to do something else. And,
right.
So, and the other thing is, too, that I know about you is that you get very anxious when you have to, thinking that what if you don't have the answers to something. I I only do that when there's a situation that's uncomfortable, like me dealing with Social Security on your behalf. I do get anxious about that. Well, how do I express this effectively?
Right.
And so that somebody else can get, a clear vision of what you deal with every day.
Yeah.
We come on the podcast, and it's funny because we come on the podcast, and you show up, and you're brilliant and extremely articulate and just able to express yourself. Not always, but a big chunk of the time.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot out of you to sit down, even if it's just with me.
Yeah.
We're together often, and I would think that you're more comfortable speaking with me than most people.
Yeah.
But when we do this podcast afterwards, there are times that you're just completely drained.
Yeah.
There's sometimes doing this podcast that we have to stop because you're just done.
Yeah.
You just have this look, and I can just tell you're done with it.
Yeah. And there's times where I just can't handle what we're talking about.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's another instance, is that I'm just so jittery and stressed that I can't go any further.
And that's the part that she's attributing to anxiety. So, is it stress-induced? We've kind of figured out that yes, the anxiety is triggered by stressful situations.
Yeah.
Regardless, it doesn't matter what the situation is. If you're perceiving it as stressful, then it is. It doesn't matter what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's you're making a sandwich. If for some reason you're upset because, I don't know, let's just say somebody opened jelly before the other one was empty. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just making that up, but bringing it up as an example.
Especially when I was younger, that would have really... Yeah.
Yes. So that type of thing can really be a trigger for you in a benign situation.
Yeah.
And so what she's listening to you say, and how you feel and how you experience your day-to-day responsibilities or just your time, she's saying, this has never been isolated and addressed, and it's very mild, very, very low side effects, so if you try it, let's see if we can get through that medication to help you to feel more comfortable on a daily basis. Now, you don't want to take it because you don't like medicine, and I get that, because I suppose my philosophy your whole life.
But less is more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. But you've taken the medicine and you didn't like the way that it made you feel? Or
the first time I took it, I did not care for it at all. I took it at the beginning of the day, and it very quickly made me feel very... So
you're just uncomfortable in your body.
It very much so, and it actually raised my anxiety at that point.
Right. So
And
it did the opposite.
yeah, and because it's a fast-acting medicine, it quickly works and quickly leaves the system.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at that point, the rest of my day was messed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when something happens to you, when you have an experience, it is difficult for you just to kind of brush your hands together. Oh, okay, that's done. Let's move on.
Yeah. Well, in most situations, yes.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an unexpected thing, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you ruminate on why is so that recovery time is long? Is that because you ruminate on what happened, or because because you're sensitive, so that the medicine might be out of your body, but that
mindset, I guess.
and the anxiety that you felt is still sticking with you.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So it's not so much that I'm worrying about it or thinking about it. It's that experience at the beginning of the day carried through the rest of the day. The feeling of it, not necessarily the
not the side effects of the medicine, but the feeling, that anxiety feeling that you had because of the medicine, right? You're saying it's created anxiety.
And it's not just in a medication instance for me.
Mm-hmm.
If something happens that throws me off in the morning, more than likely the rest of the day is going to be off for me. And that's the kind of thing that happens. Mm-hmm. And what did happen with this medicine?
Yeah. And so we went back to her, and the recommendation was that you cut it down even in a half dose, mm-hmm. and take that half dose at night, just to give your body a chance to get accustomed to taking it. Mm-hmm. And you've been doing that?
Yes.
And what have you noticed?
Nothing. I seriously have not noticed any difference.
Okay.
So it's...
Well, that's good. I mean, better that than causing you to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to describe sometimes how a medication makes you feel. And for you, it's really, you've been very clear about this over the years, that you feel like an intensity in your body, whether it's your arms or your legs, your head, or it's just this, sometimes a vibration, sometimes it's like you're getting pulled apart, sometimes it's a jittery feeling,
which that can also be considered vibration.
Yes.
And it's just sometimes all those things can be considered a vibration. Mm-hmm. Because the pulling apart thing, it's vibrating so bad that the waves are bigger, so it feels like I'm being pulled apart. So
So the waves, it's so interesting. So that's energy.
Yeah.
So that's energy flowing through. Mm-hmm. And everybody is made up of energy, but you feel it, and you feel it when it's off.
Yeah.
So
I've had a thought before where if you look at what scientists say about radio waves, mm-hmm. that's sound. If you look at the visual spectrum, that's different wavelengths of sight. Everything from matter to sight, or to light, to everything, mm-hmm. has a wavelength.
Mm-hmm. The frequency.
Yeah, which is a type of wavelength. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
So just it's.
So in other words, you're very your comfort level is extremely
susceptible.
Thank you. I was trying to put a C in there. Susceptible. I was wrong. Is extremely susceptible.
Yeah.
Huh.
Susceptible.
No, it's not susceptible.
Now you have me doing it. Okay, they know what we're saying.
Yeah, I hope so.
Susceptible.
There you go. Because I was like, I'm not trying it again. Yes, to those changes in what you're describing as a wavelength.
Yes.
So what you're saying is that, to put it in a different way than you ever have before, you feel that movement in your body all the time, and so you're very aware when it's off, when it's the
yeah. Think of a washing machine. Mm-hmm. How it has the rotation in it.
Yeah.
But if something's too much on one side, unbalanced,
Yes.
it'll start to rock back and forth in
Yeah.
an off wavelength.
Okay. And that happens to you on a daily basis, or no?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Does it happen you see a pattern, like in certain triggers? So I was going to say certain situations, but look, the example that I just gave of going to make a sandwich and finding that somebody opened a new jar of jelly when the old jelly is still half full.
Yeah.
And that would disrupt your process and it would really have thrown a wrench in things for you.
Right. And as I've gotten older and more experienced,
it still bothers you.
But it's more like I've grown into a larger wavelength, so to speak. In that my range of it has gotten larger, of being acceptable.
Okay. So you're saying the faster the wavelengths, the more intensity you feel?
No.
Closer together?
No, I'm saying forget the wavelengths for a second.
Okay, sure.
As I've grown and gained more knowledge and experience in my life, my understanding of what can be ignored or passed by is larger than I had been when I was younger. Like with that example with the making the sandwich. Like I said, when I was younger, that would have thrown me off. Seeing a jar of jelly open whenever there was still more in another one. Whereas now it's like, oh, come on, and I'll move on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
because you're right. You're able to overcome it. Certain things that you used to not be able to. And so I see what you're saying is like your tolerance has grown.
That's the word, yes. So I was trying to use words for the wavelength thing. That's why I tried to step away from it.
Okay.
So yes.
Yes. So you're right. So you've gained more tolerance, and you've also matured into an understanding of yourself, so that, we've talked about before, growing up the entire time, your cup had to be on the left side of your plate, on the mat, or on the just sitting on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Your drinking cup had to be on the left. If it was set down on the right, younger days, that would ruin the whole meal. You could not even begin to sit down and deal with that.
Right.
And to this day, if we're at a restaurant and your drink is put on your right side, all you do is move it over to the left side.
Yeah.
But you still, I noticed, have to do that before anything else is done. So, for example, you could have food on your fork, on your fork, ready to put it in your mouth, and if that cup is put down on the right side, you're not going to take a bite. Everything's going to be done until that cup is moved to the left side. It's just the way it is. There's like this pecking order. You have to have things in a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've gotten a lot better at managing those things that you can manage.
Mm-hmm.
When having nothing to do with autism, there's a phrase that says "pick your battles."
That's a good instance for this. Yeah, a good phrase for this idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you have to be at a level where you're comfortable enough to do it.
Yes.
And also, I would say that the example of the jelly, if that happens in the midst of other things happening, it makes it far worse for you to be able to manage. So let's say, for example, the kids are here and they're screaming.
Yeah.
We know that that's something that just makes you so upset because
Not angry, but just so frustrated. Yeah.
Yeah. It creates an enormous amount of anxiety.
Yes.
The kids do.
Yeah.
And I would say it's because they're unpredictable, because they are loud. You say that they don't listen, and you're absolutely right. Sometimes they don't listen, and you and I differ on this sometimes because I love
Chaos.
I love allowing kids to express themselves and to share what it is that they think and how they feel about something. And, so to me, what you perceive as not listening, I often just have a different take. And it doesn't mean that I'm right and you're wrong, by the way.
Right.
It's just that my take is, I think it's important to allow them to have opinions and to ask the questions they want to ask, and to for us to have a conversation about things.
Which that whenever I say that they don't listen, I mean they flat out ignore me if anyone else is here.
True.
And even if I'm trying to help them with something or figure something out, doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by ignore me.
Okay, yeah. Well, no, you get upset even if you're walking through and we're all doing something that has nothing to do with you. It's a lot of it is the sheer volume of everything, of their voices, their high pitch.
Oh my gosh, Maddie shrieking, and oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, I know, it really gets to you. It's very, very upsetting. So my point is that, finish my thought here, is that there can be something that used to really get to you and you figured out a way that, okay, that's not the battle that you're going to have today with this particular thing. But when it comes in context of being other things that are also create anxiety, then it does become an issue again. And I think that's like a lot of people. If I think most people, we can handle an awful lot if something kind of innocuous happens when in the midst of us dealing with something that's very stressful, that thing can be an issue when normally it wouldn't be. So I do understand that.
Yeah. And going back to the washing machine example, let's say that at this point the sandwich thing was a little bit off balance. Having the kids thrown into that example is a huge load of laundry being put onto one side as it's going, and at first it just had a little shaking because of the sandwich, but with the kids in there, it throws it off completely.
Yeah. And I think that what the doctors have kind of begun to look at with you is that the anxiety is triggered every day in different situations, and that in and of itself you've expressed enough times for everybody to think, hey, what, this is not something that we just want to just ignore and to say for you to just deal with it.
Right.
So if there's a way to help you with the anxiety, and that's in the form of medication, and that's the direction that everybody has kind of gone to help you to be relieved of that, because it happens really quick. The anxiety can happen really quick for you, and that's just what I see.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it's like an asthma attack. I know the anxiety when I see it, but what I don't know is when you're feeling it before the point comes where I see it.
Right.
And I think that it happens all the time. And in effort to get you to be more comfortable in your daily life and to begin to even, I mean, the goal always is, right, for you to have a fuller life, to have more that you're doing outside of the house, and interactions, if it's what you would, not, look, people have their different, some people are people,
Some people are people persons.
Yes.
I guess.
Yes.
Horrible English, but yes.
Yes. That's why I stopped myself. I'm like, this is not right.
Some people are people.
Yes. Yes. So anyway, then they're fine. People all the time, right?
Yeah.
And then some are not. So
Yeah.
there's no right or wrong when it comes to the amount of time you spend with other people. The goal is to get you to be more comfortable in all situations that you deal with, including interactions with other people.
Yeah.
And one of the things that cause you stress and anxiety is feeling like, what if you don't know the answer to something? And it kind of is one of those things that causes anxiety when I think about that sometimes, and I think, wow, there is so much that you're dealing with internally on a regular basis that you feel like this vibration, whatever it's doing, in any given situation.
Yeah. And on as another point to that, though, is that because of that, I'm just thinking of this now, and it's a good explanation for it. Having that vibration go in a certain frequency, and then being put in a completely different situation, like having, like, me doing something and being stressed out and whatever, and completely focusing on what I'm doing, and then being told, hey, I need you to do this, which is something completely different.
Right, that disruption.
It's very difficult to switch that frequency, and I can't do it just like that.
Right.
And it takes me at least a minute or so to be able to even start to get into that new mindset, new frequency.
I would even take it a step further and say that it might be a minute before you can even verbally respond, longer than that for you to take action in a different way.
Right. Now I'm saying to even start getting into that.
Yeah. And if you did switch mainstream and now you're doing something else, 9 times out of 10 you will not go back to that
original thing.
Whatever it is you were doing.
Right.
Unless,
because now I'm focused on this. And
unless it's reading, because we have established a long time ago, that's your jam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Anything else about that? Because I know you got to get going. Anything else? Yeah.
That it's not... The reason I brought that last part up was because it's not just... excuse me. If I'm having a okay time or whatever focusing on something, or if I'm stressed out and focusing on something. It is that, you call it switching gears, to get to that new thought process kind of thing, that I can't, me trying to halt what I'm doing to then focus on what is being said to me now for the new thought process. I can't comprehend anything that's being said to me during that time, and it doesn't. So if it's really difficult to try and make that jump, so to speak, especially if if I'm focusing, I've had it even this last week. I was focusing on something going on in my room. Dad opens the door. Hey, I need you to do this, and then he closes the door. What?
Yes.
Because I'm not there at all.
Yes. Right. Well, and so I will say that there are things that happen in life that just, just daily living. You just, things pop up all the time, right?
Yeah.
But what I do understand is that you don't like change in any form. You don't like going off of a routine in any way.
Right.
If you have a plan in the morning and you have a set routine,
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be the routine. And you don't do well when that's changed. So right off the bat,
Change unexpectedly.
Exactly. So if you're doing something and somebody asks you to do something else instead, that's a change. So that's number one. The other thing is that with you do deal with ADD. So going back to and keeping track of what you were doing is a difficult situation.
If it happens at all, yeah.
Then it causes you anxiety when it's brought to your attention that you didn't finish the first thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like this snowball that just...
Oh my gosh, it's horrible.
Yes. And so I do think, I'll just leave it on this, that that type of experience for you is what the doctor is trying to help you alleviate that anxiety that comes with the other things that you deal with. And it's not just your dad and I that, get in your way all the time. Right. It's just things in life in general. And if there's going to be a change, there's going to be a change, but you don't like it, it causes these other things to kind of get kicked off.
Yeah.
So if the anxiety piece can be diminished, then the hope is that you have an easier time, that you feel better.
Yeah.
And by feeling better, then you are able to not only do better at the things that you're wanting to do, but you then continue to feel better about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Hey, everybody, that's it, because Josh has to go. So thanks for hanging out with us today. Please give us 5 stars wherever you listen to us. We really appreciate that. Check out the website. We have other podcasts and some blogs. I haven't been writing blogs all the time, and it's just been too much going on. So,
SonyaKing.com.
Yes, SonyaKing. And send us a message if you'd like us to know anything. Anyways, hope you're having a great day, nice weekend. Love ya.
Bye.